due to the connected world, the panic set in really quickly. The pressure on biotechnology companies was just immense. Share with us what was your state of mind, what were you going through at that point of time?
Well, I mean, as the world was going into a crisis mode, it was, a very few handful of companies that decided to either take risk and put your foot forward, and since we're talking about marketing and building brands, it was also an opportunity, a very risky one, to try and perform. Because the ones who failed, destroyed a lot of value in their brand and their ability to deliver. Whereas we succeeded with a lot of challenges, ups and downs. We had a fire as well, and so many other geopolitical issues. And we just saw it as an opportunity to serve our nation and to also create a brand globally, where a lot of global companies in the world always looked at India as, it doesn't look at India that way anymore in the last, 5-10 years, but at least in the pharma sector and other sectors, we weren't sort of seen as global players, leaders who could, have that impact. And this was an opportunity to show the world that not only can we serve a nation as large as ours, and our vaccination rate, thanks to Modi ji's leadership, was higher than even the United States and many developed countries. And that was a testament to our ability to collectively work together and get things done. And also to help other nations. So that's where I saw, our ability to perform and deliver on all of that.
But that's a businessman talking. Tell me at an individual level, what were the emotions that were going, because there were so many people in a way dependent, and every day the crisis that we were hearing around us was really heart-rending. At a personal level, at an emotional level.
No, absolutely. Look, every year we make vaccines which protect children's lives, and we give it, at a price which is less than $1 a dose. Our profit margins are very, very minuscule. Our main objective is to address outbreaks and diseases across the globe. And, initially, when we were talking to the government, we said, look, we're not interested in any commercial contracts or anything like that. We just want to talk about delivering as much product as we can and get, as much protection as we can to the population before the second and third waves hit. So it's always been emotional, and that's also what drives us at Serum Institute. Waking up every day knowing that we're working toward a cause that is, not business related. We're not a listed company. We don't have to drive for super profits or, shareholders and stakeholders, unlike in my finance company where I have to do a bit of that. But here, everything is driven by your heart and where you want to make a difference, especially, for example, in the continent of Africa, where we are launching the world's second, malaria vaccine at the end of this year.
Okay, just changing gear. Do you see vaccine development being led by disease? Or will vaccines ward off diseases?
No, I think...
will it be preventive or reactive?
No, I think what's going to drive the development is innovation and technology also. You've got messenger RNA and all these other new ways of research today. I think as we see progress and those technologies working, we'll automatically get a lot of solutions in vaccines and things like that. For example, we have a cure for dengue. We were struggling earlier on to get regulatory approvals for this product because it was the first time in the world type of product. Now the regulation is such, with the reforms that we proposed to the Modi government and the health ministry, that we're now able to fast track all those trials, and in about a year and a half we're going to have a cure for dengue in India very soon. So these are remarkable things that are possible, with a progressive government mindset, with progressive facilities, and it's not about schemes and freebies and all that. All we need is a stable government which understands progress, and that's what we're fortunate to have. And that's why you're seeing so much more innovation and progress happening in this sector.
Now, there is much discussion about vaccine diplomacy, right? And shifting global health dynamics. I read an HBR article, and it mentioned, and I quote, that they said China is using vaccination support as a strategic investment to support its Belt and Road Initiative. How is it open relationship for us?
Well, yeah, during the pandemic, whichever countries would have excess vaccines, it was a soft power of such. And we worked with our foreign ministry and the PMO's office to ensure that first starting with our neighbors and so many other countries, I think about 70 countries we ended up supporting during the pandemic, which again was very good for our relations. And India has always taken the view, even before that with hydrochloroquine and tablets which we had given to the US, that yes, we look after our own, but we'll also try and help at the same time as many countries as possible, without compromising, of course, the requirements of the nation. So it was a very effective tool, and I think going forward also, it's a good way of sharing resources globally and being part of globalization. And I think in the G20 coming up just now, that will also play a major role.
So you feel China is using it effectively, and are there any lessons to learn from that?
China is not able to do anything. In fact, if you see, the manufacturing and investment is shifting all towards India. With our democratic policies and way of doing things, people feel far safer. When you go to Davos, you go to international forums, and I see the kind of response our chief ministers of states who set up shop there and talk about India. The response they're getting compared to any other country is phenomenal. And now with Russia also having its issues, there's very few places that you can find companies wanting to invest in. With the situation in China and their poor handling of the pandemic has certainly moved and accelerated a lot of people who are anyway thinking about India to come to it.
You've been doing a lot for children, and almost 65% of the children around the world, I'm told, has at least one vaccine manufactured by SII. You have two young sons, I think Cyrus is here. Is this something that you would like to advise parents to watch out for as long-term, short-term, consequences of COVID, and what should they be looking out for?
Well, I'm not a doctor, but
yes.
During the pandemic, I think everyone felt that these are long-term reactions and side effects can always be there for drugs and vaccines and all of that. There's never something that you can take, even a Combiflam tablet today you take can give you a reaction in very, very rare or few cases, and any medication for that matter. I think the COVID vaccines that were developed at rapid pace, all the clinical studies and all of that was done and tested in people in a smaller group before it went out to a larger group. Long-term effects of COVID and vaccine-related events can always be there, but they're so minute and mostly treatable that I think we did quite well as a scientific community, whether it was our COVID vaccine or other COVID vaccines that were developed.
Fair.